Minty people, it's Krista with Botanical Bird, and this week I want to talk about how we can care for our humidity-loving plants and common ideas that may not be that helpful that I have also done myself. So we have lots of different humidity-loving plants, right? Calathea are one of my absolute favorite genus of plants, and they really need some serious humidity if you want to keep them alive. And so I have done many different things to try to give them the humidity that they need, and some things have been more beneficial than others. So let's jump right in. I used a couple of methods to look up information on this because I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but I didn't really know for sure what was useful or not. And so I looked up information from Brooklyn Homestead as well as Ohio Tropicals. And Ohio Tropicals I feel like is kind of an oxymoron. And no offense, Ohio, I'm from Michigan. Well, so some offense, Ohio, because I'm from Michigan. But as far as plants go, no offense, because I'm also from the Midwest, and I know that tropical and Midwest kind of doesn't really go together. But anyway, so thank you to those two websites for helping me find information about this. One of the most common ways, and I think easiest ways that we try to increase the humidity around our plants is misting. And this is something that is a really big misconception, and I have done it so often. I have misted my plants for at least a year now, a year and a half, and the amount that I've misted them has decreased significantly because I no longer have the time that I used to. But misting is a really big misconception. It's often brought up as one of the first lines of defense because it's so simple. Many people can go out and buy a mister or a spray bottle that they can fill with water and just spray around. And if you only have a couple of plants, it's not a big deal. But when you get lots of plants, it becomes very time consuming. And in general, it's just not worth it because according to Ohio Tropicals, it really doesn't increase the humidity around your plant for long enough. Like maybe for a couple minutes until the water evaporates, but long term, it's not going to increase the humidity in the whole room or around the plant long enough for it to really matter. They did mention if you want to mist your plant to then clean the leaves, that's perfectly fine, but doing what I used to do, aka spending like a half hour misting all of my plants every single day, is just a waste of time. It made me feel really good, like I was doing the most for my plants, but turns out it was a waste of time. So no more misting my plants. I did research and find other ways that are worth it to increase the humidity around your plants, and I want to go for what I believe is the most helpful to what I think is the least helpful. But when I was researching this, it didn't really mention like how effective each of these were, except for misting and how that's not effective. So the most efficient way I think that I've researched is getting a humidifier. I have two humidifiers. This is what they look like. It's a Tektronix, some kind of humidifier from Tektronix. What I really liked about this humidifier is that it's a cool mist humidifier because I don't like high humidity, and so it's not going to increase like the heat in my room. It's just increasing the amount of humidity, hopefully without making the temperature increase. But so I like that it's cool mist. I also like that it has a humidistat feature built in, so I can set the level of humidity that I want. So I always set all of my rooms to 70% if it has plants in it. And naturally our houses have between like 40 and 60% humidity, but most plants want it at least 65% or higher. So humidifiers can really help with that, and it increases the humidity depending on the size of humidifier, hopefully for the whole room. So it's not just, oh, I'm misting this one plant and the humidity of the air around this plant is going to be increased, but hopefully for all the plants in that room. I can actually set a timer, I guess, for when it can turn on and turn off. I always use the humidistat function where I just set it to 70. So if it's below that, it will turn on, and then when it hits that, it turns off. And then it automatically turns off when the water level is too low. And I will keep this running 24/7, so I have to fill it up once in the morning and once at night. The one pain in the booty that I found thus far is cleaning it. I used to not clean them very often, but I have to now. It recommends cleaning them once a week, and for me, it takes quite a bit because they get a lot of junk in them. but I think it's worth it. So humidifiers, also Tektronix does not sponsor me in any way. I just bought their humidifiers, and yeah, so you can get these. There's definitely tons of humidifiers out there that you just plug it in and unplug it, but I just didn't like that. I don't know, like, is my room too humid now or not humid enough? I prefer to be able to know. So I think personally humidifiers are the best way to increase the humidity for your plants. Another method I use to increase humidity for plants are humidity chambers. And I think that usually it's supposed to be glass, so like a terrarium would be really good and it would be more aesthetically pleasing. My way is a lot cheaper. It's actually not even my way. I read about it from somewhere or saw it on YouTube. And so I use plastic bags, Ziploc bags, and they work just as great, definitely not as cute, but it really keeps the moisture in. So what I do, like for this Philodendron melanochrysum crossed varicosum, I have it in 2-gallon Ziploc bags, and I just mist the inside of the bag when I see that there's no more moisture on the inside, and it keeps all of the leaves very happy and in a moist environment, and it really promotes aerial root growth. I don't know if you can see the aerial roots on this bad boy. You can kind of see it better without my hand behind it. It's like the same color as my skin. So this is probably one of the methods I think that increases the humidity the most for plants, but it's also one of the least aesthetically pleasing methods in my mind. So if you want, I think a glass terrarium, people use those. I just don't, because I think that they take up a lot of room and it's just an extra expense. So I use the bags. But I mean, if you're okay with how it looks long term, it would be a way that you could use to keep your humidity loving plants happy. Next, putting your plants in a room that's already humid. I've read so much about how bathrooms are the best place to put your plants because of the humidity. Unfortunately, the bathroom that I've had and all the places I've lived in don't have any windows. And so I have to be very careful if I put plants in them, which ones. And even the plants that I have put in there, I generally cycle them out because eventually the lack of light really takes a toll on the plant. So putting it in a humid space, as long as it also has suitable light requirements for your plant. Next, I like to put these hand in hand. I think if it's going to be worth it, because I think either one individually isn't that helpful, but a pebble tray. So I have several pebble trays for some of my plants. Usually it's when a plant is struggling, I'll give it a pebble tray. So this Stromanthe Triostar has a pebble tray, and basically what it is it's a drip tray that's 2 inches wider in diameter than the actual pot. So when you put it in the middle, it's 1 inch around extra. And then I have a smaller drip tray inverted in the middle. The pebbles are all around, can you see, spilling water. The pebbles are all around the outside of the center drip tray, the one that's inverted. So you just put a bunch of pebbles in there and then you fill it with water so that the roots or the bottom of the pot, it's not sitting in the water, because that will most definitely cause root rot. This just will increase the humidity around your plant, because as the water evaporates from the dish, it will go toward the leaves and kind of just increase the humidity around the plant. So that's something I do. Something that I haven't done purposefully, but that I've read works well, is grouping plants together. So I would recommend doing that in addition to the pebble tray, because I just don't know that either one individually, especially just grouping them together. In my opinion, I don't know how well that would work, but I'm not a botanist, so who knows. But the reason that grouping plants together works is because of transpiration. So transpiration is the process with which water is sucked up into the plant through the roots, and then any water that's needed to help with the plant's processes is taken up, and then all the excess water is transpired or put out through the pores in a plant's leaves, and those pores are called stomata, plural, and then singular is stoma. So it's kind of like sweating almost for plants. And so when that excess water is transpired through the leaves or put out through the leaves, then that increases the humidity in the air around the plants. And I think if you have those plants in a pebble tray also, it will increase the humidity around the plants even more. So I would say those two paired would be a good idea. And I haven't purposefully grouped my humidity loving plants for that purpose. I have grouped them around a humidifier, or just because of the number of plants that I have, they have to be grouped together because I don't have a big enough space where I can spread them out. That's what I have read and researched. But if you guys have any other tips or tricks of how you increase the humidity for your plants, please drop them in the comments below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Botanical Bird, and bird has a U in it, not an I. And follow my planty Instagram, which is at botanical_bird. Remember, I'm rooting for you. Bye. Go humidifier, do your thing, we're counting on you.